I watched 3 different movies this Valentine's weekend, and I did a poll on Instagram to see how I should release all these reviews. Should I do them all in one or separate? And my followers voted for separate videos, so that's what we're getting. 3 different movies, 3 different videos this week. Stay tuned. Judas and the Black Messiah was directed by Shaka King and stars Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. Judas and the Black Messiah tells the true story of a man who is forced by the FBI to infiltrate the Chicago Black Panther Party and help them take down the party's leader, Fred Hampton. I think this is a very important movie, especially coming out during Black History Month. This was not a story I was really familiar with, so I did learn a lot from watching it. They did a great job of exploring both perspectives of this situation, but it's very clear that the FBI was in the wrong in this situation, and they did some really crazy stuff in this movie. So, let's get into it. So, of course, performances were absolutely great. Lakeith Stanfield did a great job as the lead, along with Daniel Kaluuya. Lakeith Stanfield, I think, did a great job playing a very nuanced character. You can tell he's very conflicted about what he's doing, and there's some moments where you can't tell if he's starting to actually take Fred Hampton's side, if he's actually believing in what he's acting, or is he just playing along to make the FBI happy? Sometimes you don't actually know. You really see the conflict in this man, and you see that he really is just trying to survive. This guy's put in a really tough situation, and it's really interesting to see him navigate that, and I think Lakeith Stanfield's performance really did bring life to this character, really showed what this man was dealing with, and the really tough position the FBI put him in. Daniel Kaluuya did an absolutely amazing job as Fred Hampton. I think this was one of his best performances I've seen from him ever. He absolutely disappeared into this character. You understand exactly where he's coming from. You see how he's such a strong leader, the way he's able to really convey his points to people, even people who may be enemies or potential enemies. He has a way with words, and he is so clear and so determined. You understand this man's goal is very clear. He wants Black people to have the same stuff that white people have the opportunity to have. Good health care, food, education, but he also doesn't want to do it with the system that exists. He wants to start something new. And that scares the government, right? So that's why they send Lakeith Stanfield's character after him. But you understand where he's coming from. Daniel Kaluuya really embodied this person. Like I said, Daniel Kaluuya really disappeared into the role, and after a while you almost don't remember it's him playing this character. You just think it's Fred Hampton, like it's actually him. But I think they did a really great job of showing both perspectives here, from Bill O'Neill's to Fred Hampton's, and then they also show what the FBI is doing at this time. One thing I think the movie does really well is showing the crazy lengths the FBI would go to discrediting and eventually trying to take out Fred Hampton. And there's a lot of moral and ethical dilemmas in this movie. There are moments where you see the FBI do something and then it makes you think, well, you're going after Fred Hampton for doing this and this, but you just did that, which is a lot worse. I'm not gonna get into details. I mean, if you know the history, then you'll probably be able to guess what certain things are gonna happen in this movie, but if you're like me and you didn't know a lot about it, then there's some very surprising stuff that happens here. Stuff that the FBI does, like, how is that right and how is that any better than what you claim that Black Panther Party is doing? You kind of get this from Roy Mitchell's perspective, the FBI agent that recruits Bill, and Bill O'Neill. You see him as he's infiltrating the Black Panther Party, and you see the stuff that the FBI makes him do that really just leaves him on edge. This movie also does a good job of exploring Fred Hampton's personal life and his relationship with Deborah Johnson, played by Dominique Fishback. These two played off each other so well, and they also kind of challenged each other in different ways, which I thought was very interesting. While Fred Hampton is ready to lay down his life for this cause, he doesn't care what happens to him as long as the revolution keeps going. Deborah is trying to bring him back down to earth and make him realize that just because he can sacrifice himself doesn't mean she necessarily can, and that's not something she necessarily wants to do. She's dedicated to the cause, but she's also looking at the bigger picture and looking at what else is at stake if things go bad and one of them dies. And lastly, this movie does have great cinematography and a really great score and soundtrack. I have not listened to the whole album yet, but the songs that I did hear in the movie itself were really good. Now, I do think they could have cut a little bit of the runtime of this movie. Some parts did drag a little bit, but I do think this movie has a lot of important information. It does show really interesting perspectives across the board. It's not just one-sided. They do show the lengths that the FBI will go to discredit Fred Hampton, the really messed up stuff they're willing to do, but you also see the good things that the Black Panther Party is doing, and then you also see Bill in the middle, very conflicted about what he's doing, but he kind of has no choice. The verdict. I think Judas and the Black Messiah is solid. So I think this is a really well-rounded movie, and it does do a good job of balancing all these different elements to tell a really important story, a story that maybe not a lot of people know, especially people that are like me or kind of younger, right? So I think this movie people should definitely watch. This is part of the HBO Max deal, so it's going to be available on HBO Max for the first 30 days of its release. and then after that, it's going to be in theaters only. So if you have HBO Max or you know someone that has it, definitely take the time to watch it, especially during Black History Month, because this is an important story, and there's some great performances in here. So what did you think of Judas and the Black Messiah? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.